Good afternoon. Welcome to another week of We the People.
Wow,
I like these lights.
Look at me. I look all white.
I was gonna say I like these lights. I got a little bit of sun yesterday, but you really can't see it in these.
Yeah,
We are a little
yeah. You
washed
kind
out.
of you kind of look palish. Like, I mean, I went walking, so I can look my color.
Well, they did spend money on a couple of new LED lights, which give out.
Well, that's
cleaner.
very nice. You know, this is what
Yeah,
we need:
yeah.
public access. So we got to make sure we tell the council people to support public access, right? We just want to make sure the money's
No, we
going
need
into
to tell
some
the
training.
We need to tell the executive director here to stop wasting money.
Yeah, we need some training. They need some training to happen in this place. I mean, remember when Naisha was here?
When's the last time you saw a new show on here?
I don't watch public access.
That's good. Don't waste your time.
I would have to go to 99 and then figure out how to get it.
Grandstand's a friend of mine, Naisha's a friend of mine, but I remember back when they were here, Saturdays and nights, they would have people in here training them.
Yeah.
You know, the back classroom would have people in here that wanted to have their own program.
That ain't happening no more.
You know.
So
where's the mayor's program?
So
He's got all these people in his office. Why doesn't he have an informational program to tell people what's going on in the city? Wouldn't that make sense?
Maybe I should get Luke to start a program. Maybe you could get Gillian to start a program. We'll get everybody. We get all the candidates to start a program.
Oh, we got a lot to talk about. With the
yeah. Okay. So
couple
anyway, hello everyone. Today is Monday, and it is a beautiful day. I must say that.
The day after Mother's Day.
Yes.
What did you do yesterday?
Oh, I just went to church, and my kids made me breakfast and make me dinner, real Italian dinner. It was really great. I mean, my kids are good cook. You know, my son and my daughter. They did a really good job of cooking. So yeah, I was conquered. Yeah, I'm half Italian and half Irish.
I think there's something else mixed in there too.
Oh yeah, there's other things, but I will talk about that part, okay?
And you have your grandson around.
My grandson, yeah.
And you have another one
on the way. On the way.
You know, we got what?
A boy, as usual.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Boys are usual on the way. Yep. So anyway, as I said, today's Monday, and I want to wish everyone a happy Monday, and I hope all the mothers out there had a great day yesterday. It was wonderful. If you have children, they pamper you, and that's really wonderful. You know, if you treat them right, you know, they'll turn around and treat you right. So I think it's really important. And also thank the father who are mothers too, because some men are mothers and fathers, and some women are fathers and mothers, you know, so it goes both ways here, right?
Right, but I think more mothers are mothers in Hartford than fathers are fathers.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so thanks to the ones that are good.
If you get my meaning on that.
Yeah, I got your meaning. So anyway, today's Monday, and a lot of stuff going on. May 15th coming up. Let's have fun. Decorate your feet, okay? It's gonna be, you know, some decoration on anything you might want. Nice slippers, do anything you want, and your shoes or whatever.
We put horseshoes on people.
Yes, May 15 also is nurse visit to the senior center, and that's 11 a.m. You can do that. Let's see what else I have here. May 18, it's going to be, the barber is there. If you need a haircut, please come on over. Why don't you come on over sometimes and look and see what's there? You know, and it's all free. All you have to do is a little tip, you know, just leave a little tip. Starting at 9:30, you know, you can come over and get your hair cut.
Okay.
What's wrong with that? I mean, you don't have to pay. He's very good. He's a volunteer barber too. So I would recommend that you come over.
Is he licensed?
Yes, he is licensed. He has a barber shop, and then he comes over and take you know, it's like you're doing something. Don't forget the nurses coming on Friday, the 15th, that's May and 19, okay? It's 11 o'clock, the nurses will come. We did celebrate Mother's Day already. Let's see what else we have here for.
You got way too much going on at that senior center.
Oh yeah, but it's good that we have a lot of stuff. You know, too many times.
I'm gonna start limiting you to 3 announcements.
Too many times people say there's not much to do. Oh, and you're wanting your nails painted. Look, I paint mine, but if you want your nails painted,
you gotta start doing flowers and stuff on that.
Yeah, I will.
That's bluebirds.
Well, that's exactly what you can do with your nails right here. You can do flowers, and that's May 11th, 26th, and June 9th, and that started at 11 o'clock too at the South End Wellness Senior Center. Oh, and also May 13th is the nutrition program. See, because we we have somebody coming to talk about health and nutrition and what you should be eating. Sorry to say, but most of us don't eat that much veggies and stuff like that. But it's really important for us to do that. We get
But it's
obese, we
starting
get
to come in this
overweight.
time of year. It's time to start focusing on the vegetables.
I know, because
Asparagus is coming in now.
Exactly.
I love asparagus.
so that's May 13th too at 11 a.m. at and it's a Wednesday. And if you do like to do bingo, it's going to be on June 4th. Apparently, we have a bingo like once a week or something like that. And if you do like to play pool, you can also do that at the South End Wellness Senior Center too. So there's a lot of stuff going on over there. Again, I also want to remind on May 12th, they also have the Protect Yourself Against Financial Abuse. Okay, so if you want to hear more how to protect yourself, that's really important. And this one is gone already.
Well, that's tomorrow,
So anyway, as usual, there's a lot of activities going on in the Senior Wellness Center. Please go by and have some fun. And if you need to reach the South End Wellness Senior Center, you can call 860-757-0840. South End Wellness Senior Center. We have great staff over there. They're wonderful. And then this coming up Thursday is the Maple Avenue Revitalization Group meeting, which is going to be, the chief is supposed to be coming. Somebody from the fire department is supposed to be coming too, and some other stuff that we'll deal with at the senior center. So that's my announcement for today, and I'm hoping you'll take advantage of some of the good stuff that's happening in the city. I wrote an article about the library in the Hartford News, and I wanted to let people know, there's a lot of great stuff happening in the city of Hartford. The library do a lot of stuff. Saturday I went downtown because my daughter said to me, she was going to take me out to breakfast. And then she said, "Mom, let's go downtown." I said, "What's downtown?" She said, "Let's go down to the food truck place."
You went to that?
Yes. And so she said, "You
on
got
Prospect Street."
Right. And she said, "You got to get out and try something different." So yeah, I went there. It was really great. I mean, if you want to pig out for a day, if you want to pig out and don't worry about your calories or your cholesterol or your whatever,
There's
go and
also a
have
lot of
some
healthy
fun.
choices too, especially
Yeah.
around Bushnell Park during the day. There's several good trucks out there that do fruit salads and vegetables, things like that. There's one truck that I love, Toasted,
Oh yeah?
who does, I guess they're like paninis or whatever, but they're sandwiches that are toasted between
Dude,
the iron
that
type
grill
thing.
thing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they used to be, last year at the Russian Lady block parties, they used to have their truck parked in the middle of the block party. Oh, that was so good. Like late at night, you go get a sandwich.
Did it have cheese in it?
They've got
Yeah,
whatever
that's
you
not
want.
good for your heart.
No, whatever you want. They've got turkey, vegetables, but it just tastes so good.
Yeah, so I went down there and I was pretty amazed. I mean, it's the first year, and I look at it and I
I
said,
heard there were
wow.
quite a few trucks there.
Yeah, I said to myself, with UConn opening up, I think there's a great idea to block that street off.
We need
once
to
a
get
week.
back to Taste of Hartford also, like we used to.
Yeah, what
have.
happened to that? We're still having that, wouldn't
It
it?
fizzled. We gave
No,
it
but
up.
I would
and
think it's coming back though, right?
I don't think there's any plans for anybody to.
No? But anyway.
We let it go to East Hartford for a year and then it died. Nobody attended.
Oh,
it there.
okay. But this truck food thing here was pretty much fun.
I know they've had those in other parts of the state too. Down somewhere near New Haven, they had one a month or so ago. The Great Food Truck.
Yeah, and it was organized
Cook-off
by
whatever.
John Gale's daughter. She did a presentation on what downtown should be like, more walkable place and stuff like that. And they did want some money to do that.
Well, she also got a big grant from the city, didn't she?
Right,
To open up
that's
her shop.
yeah. That was yeah.
Is she
got
going to be
money.
able to stay open without the grant money?
Who knows? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Some people have all
Because
the
it's
fun.
no good if we can.
Give only certain amount of
I've
people.
got an issue with the way the city does business.
Certain amount of people.
You know the new apartments that opened up next to the Russian Lady, corner of Allen
Near to the Civic
and
Center? Near
on
to
the
the
backside of the
Excel
Civic
Center?
Center. They redid a building, and there was a developer out of New York, was awarded the contract by the state, and during their renovations, I went in there to see if they were putting in security cameras to try to sell them security cameras. Oh, okay, we'll give you a call. Give us your card. We'll give you a call when we're ready. So Friday night I was downtown. I had gone to the tavern for dinner, and I was downtown and noticed there were new security cameras on the front of this apartment building. So I asked somebody, I said, who put those up? They said, oh, they had some kid from New York City came up and did it.
All right, there you are.
Now, this is somebody that's not even licensed in the state of
Exactly.
Connecticut. I pay several $100s every year for my license.
Right, but they don't
I
use
have to go
people
to
in
training.
Hartford.
And part of the deal was, and when they sold this to the council, oh, we're going to use
Give
Hartford
Hartford
vendors.
people, yeah.
You know, we have to, so much of
Yeah.
our revenue has to go to Hartford businesses.
It's just lip service.
Nobody on the council audits that.
It's
They don't
just
go
lip
back to look and
service.
say, okay, how many Hartford residents have you used?
Yeah.
What are you doing for employment? How many Hartford vendors have you used? And somebody, L&I should go back and cite them for using unlicensed contractors. But that's,
Yeah, but that's how it works. You know, as I said, I walk Maple Avenue most of the mornings and see those guys, you know, from Massachusetts, you know, digging the road, you know, whatever they're doing. There's nobody from Hartford there. So again, it goes back to, yeah, the council can say, oh, we want Hartford people to get jobs, and we want them to get jobs, and we're going to put something in place so they can get jobs. But if you don't have a supervisor making sure that these developers got these people that we say we want in those positions,
and this is
it
our
will
tax
never
money
change.
going to these people.
Right.
So like somebody at the mayoral debate, I don't remember which candidate brought it up, said that, you know, he gets fed up when he looks at the MDC project and sees all these trucks from
That's
Ludlow,
what I'm
Mass.
saying. Yes, everything
You know,
comes from Mass.
We can't develop or train and
Apparently-
finance business owners in Hartford to open up and do that kind of work?
Apparently, there's nobody in Hartford that can do those jobs. You know,
Because we don't train them.
Exactly.
These people from Ludlow,
And-
Mass didn't just wake up in the morning and know how to do
Right.
those jobs. They were apprentices, they were trained, and they got into them.
But it also, again, Kevin, the Hartford people may not be able to afford to buy those
No.
big bulldozers and all those kind of things. You know, because that's what they're using now today.
If you assist them with the financing, you know, get them in touch with a bank that can deal with it.
Hartford is never good at finance people. They only do who
We
they
can't-
want to do.
We can't always keep making excuses.
But
We
I'm
have to
just telling
find
you
a
that's
reason.
how we're good at it.
You got billions of dollars being spent by the
Yes.
MDC.
But
That would make,
But it's not coming to Connecticut.
well, it is. It's coming to Hartford, but
I
it's
mean,
not. The money's not coming back to Connecticut.
We are paying for it, but
Right.
we are not seeing these people that live in Hartford, Connecticut, getting those jobs. I would say if you look in general at those jobs that they're doing, I bet you 90% of those people are from somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Not from Hartford,
not.
Connecticut.
And even, you know, these apartments that are being built downtown, who monitors that? Does the council ever look at it and say, give us your list, we want to see how many?
They like to put ordinance together, but they don't
They
do
never
anything
follow
about enforcement. So that's the biggest problem we have. But anyway, I just want to let people know that Thursday coming at 6 p.m. St. Augustine Church Hall, we have our Maple Avenue Revitalization Group meeting coming up. And then also June 11th, we are also having the mayoral candidate forum, and it's going to be at Trinity College and Martha Hall at Summit Street. I think it's 300 Summit. It's on Summit Street. So we will make sure there's signs out there. So that's something, and I know there's one coming up this week to another candidate from the West End.
I think in the West End. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on. So stay tuned and be aware of what's happening. Be educated about issues that you need to get addressed, and make sure people are addressing it in the right and proper way. So anyway,
And, you know, last week on my blog, I wrote about the election and what's going on, and I questioned why some people run for the council. Is it to have a title or status, or is it possibly a paycheck and benefits? I don't know.
maybe benefit.
I questioned, I didn't name him in my blog posting, but I questioned one of the council people and said, after 16 years on the council, what's he done? Well, apparently that council person was very upset,
Oh yeah.
because when I went to the mayoral debate Thursday night, Councilman Kennedy immediately approached me. He says, I've only been on the council 14 years, not 16 like you said. I was like, okay, I guess.
Well, he's going to build a stadium for soccer.
Well, that's maybe caught up in lawsuits too.
Yeah,
because
but
he
I'm
did-
just saying.
There was underhanded things done there.
Exactly, you're right about
So-
that. You know, people can undermine people so much. I'm telling you. But again, it goes back to being on the council, and I feel like if I was to go on the council, I have to have a vision of what it is when I go there I want to get done. I don't want to just go there, sit and be, oh yeah, we all have to be in the same table. No, I want to make sure when I go from my neighborhood, I'm going to say, okay, this is what we want to get done. This is what we want to fix. I want to see Martha, Royal Martha. I want to see, I can touch it. That's what I want to see.
Well, that's one of the other things I posted in my blog posting is, what has he done? And where's the proof of it? So when I went in, he said, I've only been on the council 14 years, not 16 like you said. He said, I'm going to print out every piece of legislation I've passed on the council. And he says, and then I'm going to show it to your fat ass to let you know what I've done. First of all, I think that totally disrespectful.
Yes, that, I mean, you know, sometimes it's better not to respond to somebody's.
No, I just walked away from it. I wanted to say, Ken, do you have a mirror in your house?
But the point is, what I'm trying to say is, Kevin, you can put a lot of legislation together, and I don't care what they are, but it comes down to, did you build this thing here that makes a difference in our community?
The announcements you just read, that's probably a thicker stack than the legislation Ken Kennedy has put through in 14 years.
You know, I don't know, but the point is that that's what my vision is. If somebody run for, and that's what I want to point out to whoever run, to say, what is your vision? What do you plan to go there and do? Are you planning to go there and agree with everything everybody's saying, pass legislation to not cross the street, but where is the enforcement to make sure people don't cross the street? Those are the things I'm talking about, okay?
And then another one of the candidates for mayor apparently contracted a poll this weekend, and people were calling me Friday night and Saturday that they were getting the phone calls. Now, it's pretty clear, well, I should say it seems pretty clear from the questions asked. And one of the people that called me actually did a great job. He wrote down every question they asked, and then he emailed it to me. So it's pretty clear it was contracted by John Gale, because the questions were all about John Gale and
the West
did
End?
you know that
And about the West End?
I forget what his uncle's name was, some boxer. He said, would it influence your vote if you knew that John Gale was an immigrant and related to so-and-so, the boxer? Would it influence your opinion if you knew John Gale was married to a woman and had 4 children? Now, who do you think that was a shot at?
I don't know.
I don't support Pedro Segura. I don't want him as our mayor again. It has nothing to do with whether he's gay, straight, or whatever. He's done a terrible job. Now, I don't think it's right that the candidates start trying to pit that.
Well, I hear a lot of stuff like, well, I was born here and I da-da-da-da. I came here when I was da-da-da-da. I don't care when you came.
Were you born
here?
here?
But I can make a difference in the city.
You've done more for this city than people that have been been born here and lived here all their life.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't want to hear that kind of a thing, because you know what? That defeats the purpose. Yeah. This is where I live. This is where I invested. I don't care when I came here, as long as I have the vision and I want to see this community be a better place. I have a vision. This is how it should be, and this is what it could be. I want to work with the people. I don't care. North end, south end, west end, everywhere. I don't want to hear anyone talk about.
It does help to
about downtown,
whatever. If you've been born here and you know the people.
If you know the people.
You know the people in your neighborhood.
If you know the
people. You
people.
know who can get things done. You know who to go to when you need help. It's not like you arrived here yesterday or last week or a year ago. You've been here long enough. You know, okay, you're not a native. You weren't born here. But this is your home. This is where you raised your family.
Yeah.
But for people saying, oh, you know, because I've lived here all my life, you owe me your vote.
That doesn't mean, that means you can be a good mayor. That's the whole point about it. You know, we got to be serious about what it is that we really want to do. Let's leave the petty little things aside and let's focus on what needs to happen for the city to turn it around. We are on this sinking ship that we need to get off, and we can't get off. We need to find somebody that can help us float this ship and make it work for the resident of the city, all of us.
That's why you have to educate yourselves on who's running,
yes,
what the reasons are they're running, what's their vision. If somebody hasn't laid out their vision for the city yet, where will you, if we elect you in November, where will you be a year from now? Where are you going to have this city 5 years from now? What's your plan to get
What
there?
is the first thing you plan to do when you get elected? You know, we have
fire half the department heads.
When you see a city with all the things that's happening, the taxes, and I'm reading where where they're gonna present this budget with the governor and stuff like that. They're gonna be raising tax on everybody, completely everybody. People that never pay those kind of taxes, they're gonna go back to the 6 point something%. But Molloy, haven't signed off in it already. But it's a way, and then you have a city who are overspending and don't know how to control itself.
Well, see, that's the problem,
How
is the
do you-
overspending. Even in the legislature, we don't want community colleges closed. We don't want this done. We don't want that done. So we're gonna throw it back in the budget. No idea how you're gonna pay for it.
Exactly.
You don't give the governor any recommendations. Okay, if you wanna keep Middlesex Community College open, this is where we need to cut something else, or this is how we're gonna raise revenue to do that.
Yeah, maybe some of the presidents need to cut their salaries. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it's so ridiculous.
It's just like, you
The-
can't throw money back in the budget without any way to.
Right, but the point is, I'm looking at here, Kevin, in the city of Hartford, every year we sell another piece of our property. Now, I asked the question, what next will you sell
Well, we had, like,
to cover
actually,
our next
The
budget?
bond commission was supposed to, the state bond commission was supposed to vote on the sale of the Church Street garage today, because the first time the closing didn't go through because of a lot of problems. Now, I just found out they're selling it for 15 million, of which there's still $7 million in debt. So now, are they gonna throw that 15 million back into the budget? Or are they gonna take half of it and pay off the debt to get that interest off our backs? They're not gonna pay it off.
No.
They need the
They're
15
gonna
million.
stick it, to
How is that smart funding?
Well, again, there's a lot of stuff that we don't do in the city. Our leaders haven't done in the city to really be sensible about. They're not talking about their pocket. They're talking about our pocket. The people who struggles on a day in and a day out base to live. And these are the people that we're talking about. Okay? So we need a government that think about the people
And listens
before
to the
they,
people.
Exactly. Think about the people, how it's affecting them, and what can I do as government to bring things down so we can all live.
Well, even look at the mayor's office. He's got 2 full-time communications people, a full-time video person. What is Maribel LaLuz and Hilda Munoz? How often do you see press releases from them? Very rarely. The only time you see a press release from them is when the mayor screws up and they've got to defend him in the media. I don't see a lot of positive things coming out. Like, tonight at 8 o'clock, watch the mayor's hour on Hartford Public Access TV, where you can call in and ask them questions.
Oh.
No, because that doesn't happen. They don't do
right?
that.
Mhm.
That would make too much sense
We
to
gotta get
use
back
those
to
salaries.
it's one thing to say, yeah, I'm the mayor, I'm this person, I'm that person, but when you win an election and all of a sudden I'm doing what I gotta do and I don't care who gets hurt, but wouldn't it be nice for you to come back to the community and say, well, tell me, how am I doing? What can I do to make it better? Huh?
He'd run out of the room in embarrassment if you start asking people that.
And I'm talking about general government in general.
You went to the
You know?
State of the City address. If you sat in the audience at the State of the City address, you would think this city is in tremendous shape. Everything is wonderful. Every storefront is rented. We've got more jobs than we can handle. We're turning people away that are looking for jobs.
Right?
Which is the furthest thing from the truth.
Exactly.
The city is a mess.
It is. And I just cut this thing out of the Hartford Current, and it says $1.6 million budget goes to the vote. I think
That's
we should.
crazy.
But I think we in the city of Hartford should be able to go vote for the budget. When the city said this is what I want to spend, we as voters should go to the polling booth and say, hey, maybe it isn't. Maybe it is.
We're a lot bigger.
And this is in Windsor though, but Windsor is a little town.
Oh, the rest, yeah, in Windsor, West Hartford, they have if they don't do their budget right,
exactly. The
vote
resident,
it down.
Yeah, and I think that's what we should be doing. I know that we are a little big city, with a lot of issue of social service and all those kind of things. But I think if we have nowhere that buck stop, then we wouldn't have people spending out of control.
In northern New England, like Vermont, New Hampshire, I don't know if Maine does it, but in Vermont, when my parents lived in a little town up there, they had the annual meeting. And everybody would go to one of the schools, have the meeting, and vote the budget up and down.
Right.
Vote on stuff like this. a lot easier when you have 500 people in a town
Yeah.
as opposed to 125,000. But still,
I still say we should be able to do that, but it has to be in the charter anyway, right?
well, we've got to bring some sensibility back to our budget. And if
But how
that
do we
requires
do-
the voters to do it,
Right.
then so be it.
Yeah, but how do you hold your mayor or your council accountable when they're not listening to you anyway?
That's what we have the opportunity to do in November, is hold them accountable. I think we could send a very strong message if we elect a whole new council. A whole new council of people that deserve to be there. Not just because, oh, I know this one from, she lives up the
Exactly.
street,
Mhm.
or I know this one because he goes to the
because
same
they
church I do.
actually goes out and they work in the neighborhood to get those votes.
Well,
right?
look at the names that are coming up on
I would like to see the whole list of who it is because
I've got it. I'll bring it for you next week. But
do they actually went in and put their paperwork
yeah,
in already?
these are just the ones that have put their paperwork in. And I've got to tell you, there's a few of them that I see out in the community. Was it Luania from the First District Town Committee? I see
She was
her out.
always out there.
She
right?
she marched with us in the St. Patrick's Day parade. She did a lot for the Friends of Sigourney Park to get that opened up and
yeah.
rehabilitated. I don't know what kind of council person he would make. Julio Concepcion. He's out in the community all the time. He attends all kinds of meetings. Smart kid.
It depends on where in
Yeah.
the community you're talking about.
I'm not too
you know?
thrilled with where he came from as far as being one of Eddie Perez's disciples.
Well, you can't stop
But
them from what they
we
are.
can't hold that against them.
I think the most important thing is the question should be asked of each one of them. What is your vision? What is your first thing that you want to see? Are you going to go there and do something that will change the community, make a good positive impact on the community? Or are you just going to go there and sit and do things all about me, me, me? It has to be about the community. It can't be about you.
Well, we need to elect or nominate and elect council people that have actually been out in the community, that we recognize for being out in the community.
So that's what I'm going to be looking for.
Not because they're politically connected in the town.
Right.
They've got friends on the town committee. They're going to endorse them.
Yeah.
We need to say, and I've said this before, the one person on the council that I think listens to the constituents and is the people of the city is Dr. Deutsch. I don't know if he's planning on running again. I don't know if the working families are going to endorse him. I have no idea. He's kind of, I don't want to say damaged himself, but some of the things he's done have been a little off the wall, but he still cares about people.
Well, yeah, he
And
wants to see the right thing gets done, but he just doesn't have the support.
He does it in unusual ways.
Yeah, he
but,
doesn't have the support of anything, and that's the difficult part. If you go there and not willing to agree with those who are making decisions that's not right for your community, if you don't have the support to say, let's do the right thing,
and we don't
then
have,
you end up being alone, beating against the wall and beating against
if we
the
had
bush.
council people on the council that were interested in doing the right thing for the city, we wouldn't be building a baseball stadium that's going to cost us $4.5 million a year.
That wasn't good thinking.
That's not benefiting
That was not
my
good
residents.
thinking. Yeah, but I do like the fact that we are going to build a soccer field, which is going to be private money. It's not going to be city money and state
what's
money.
going on with that? It's so messed
They
up
are
that
gonna
it's
be-
in court now, from what I understand.
Yeah, well, apparently it's going to happen. That's what I was told. So it can be in court, but I think it's something going to happen.
And also, it's in court because a council member stuck his nose into it.
Yes, we know that. And he stuck his nose in a lot of stuff that shouldn't be stuck into. But the point is that
I think that's the one that called me a fat ass. Cheeseburger Ken.
But the one thing I know, a soccer field would be much better than a stupid baseball field.
Well, soccer is...
It's a national thing.
Soccer and lacrosse, I think, has
Yeah.
overtaken baseball and even football in high school.
Did you know we used to close when one year Mazzucato closed off a part of Franklin Avenue and put this huge giant TV screen there to watch
for the World Cup, yeah.
Italy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really good. I mean, those are the things that I want to see. Not a baseball where nobody watch. What is that? My kid played baseball when he was young, And I like to watch them play, hit the ball, run
Everybody
around in
did,
circles.
but it's also
But-
different things become
Yeah.
interesting.
You gotta get-
Baseball's kind of faded,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you know,
you gotta-
soccer is.
You gotta bring things in that's gonna bring people here. And as a matter of fact, not even a matter of bringing people here, but people here that wants to go to those things, you know? You go
Yeah.
to Pope Park, and Sundays and you see all these kids playing soccer in the park and stuff like that. It's
And
really
even there's a huge
Peruvian and all-
Puerto Rican
exactly,
league that
you know?
fill those parks on Saturday and Sunday.
Right. And I know Jamaicans play cricket, right? It's like baseball, right? But they play over there in the river. So it's
Yeah.
not a thing that they're gonna need.
Well, the
And
river
then-
in Keeney Park.
Yeah, or the river down there at the riverfront.
Yeah, there's a field up there.
Yeah, but the point is that okay, so we play soccer, we play baseball in this stadium. What, 3 months a year or less? Maybe less, right?
Probably about 3 months.
Yeah, and then whatever happened after that.
Well, the jobs that they claim are going to be created by this baseball stadium, that's all they are minimum wage
Well, what
jobs.
job,
They're
though?
not careers.
3
There's-
months of the year?
There's nobody that's going to be able to put a kid through college,
No,
working 3 months out of the year selling popcorn
exactly.
in a baseball
No.
stadium.
So unless they can come up with something different, there's no way we are ever going to be able to pay for that thing. Okay, of course we're going to the residents and the apartment owners and the little small business person, they're going to be taxed. They're going to be taxed. They're going to be so taxed that we're going to see a lot of foreclosure going on. Foreclosure.
Hopefully not, but I
Well,
think
well, you
that's
see-
inevitable.
That's why I brought these people here. So legislator consider extending the program. Apparently, there has been a terribly lot of foreclosure in the state of Connecticut. So apparently, they have a program that they want to extend. It has to go through legislation. They want to expand it to. No, it expired in 2017, but has signed off on the 2019 extension. Okay, so for anyone who have any problem with foreclosure, you need to call a number that's 1-877-472-8313, and then you can probably get some help
And
there.
I think that's the program the governor is
Oh, yeah,
on
this is
TV
the-
doing ads for.
This is the
commercials
governor's
and
program.
things.
This is
So-
the governor's program. So the governor know what needs to happen, because without our homeowners, we're not going to survive in this city, in this state in general. And I go back and say it. I was shocked when I heard that we went from 27 home ownership to 10% home ownership in the city of
Oh,
Hartford.
that can't be true. The mayor's done a wonderful job.
I
Home
wa-
ownership is up, graduation rates are up.
Well, no wonder it is, because you look at all them 800 blighted property that we have in the city. Only if we could just get a blight program that fix these property up and put them back on the tax roll.
Well, I think what we need is a blight program that's run by people that know how to get
That
stuff
knows
done.
how to get to these property owner, making sure they're doing the right thing. Help them if they need some help. Direct them into some help that they may need. Just do something so we don't have this blight, because that's one of my thing. I want to eliminate all blighted property from
Well,
the
look at
neighborhood.
there was an event up at Rawson School a few weeks ago, and they were talking about Bowles Park and the redevelopment and everything
Yeah.
up there. And I was just amazed that they're going to spend almost $100 million up there to rebuild Bowles Park.
So are they going to knock
What?
those houses down, or are they
I think
just
they
going to
already
gut
are.
them out?
I think they're already in the process of
That's
moving
a
everybody
waste.
up. But $100 million for I don't know how many apartments it's going to be. Why don't we just take that money and build all the people that want them $1 million home up there?
Well, you know what? I think what's happening is I think they want to make it into more kind of feeling like a homeowner's kind of they don't want to build it the way it is,
But-
because that's too much kind of like what used to be over there.
We
in
don't want the
Charlotte.
old project type
No,
building.
and I don't think that's what they want
We
to
want
do.
something where people could actually have a garden in the backyard,
Exactly.
have a cookout if they want,
Mhm.
and treat it like it's a home.
Something similar to what's on Collins Street or some of those street there, even over there at Dutch Point. They have some
Dutch
nice.
Point, they did a very nice
Exactly.
job. The houses they have garages,
Yes.
they have basements.
Mhm, So I think maybe that's something that they want to do up there, and I think it's much better, because when you do those projects with those box houses. You know, it kind of a demeanor people. I think
It's
people
one
need
step
to
away
sense-
from a jail cell.
Exactly, and I
Yeah.
think people need to feel invested in these properties so they can take more interest in taking care of them. So I think that's something to go. But I when I read this, I said, you know, I think the governor's got something here that he needs to really need to take care of, and you know, bringing our homes back and making even in the city of Hartford, looking in general, and our little home ownership in the city. We've got to do better in doing something like that because, again, between the education, between our schools and the homeowners, if you don't have good school in your neighborhood, nobody wants to buy a home in your neighborhoods, right? So therefore, you need to make sure your program in your school is well quality, so people will want to come. People who want to say, yeah, like the West End. Everybody wants to buy a house in the West End because they have the North Webster School. They have this other school there, and they feel like, oh, that's the best thing. Things like Cape, you know. So we need to make sure they're good homes.
You follow them pretty closely. Do you think there's a lot of wasted money in Hartford's education?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. There's so much waste. You look at that big building downtown that they're in, the G Fox building.
Oh yeah, that's
why do they need to be in there?
that's a couple $1 million a year in rent.
Exactly. They need to be in one of these school buildings like Wethersfield do and all those kind of little towns do. Keep their Board of Education in the school building with kids in the next side.
Well,
you
don't
know?
we have any old schools that really aren't being used completely?
No, all of them is being used, but
Well,
you can make because if you look at it, we don't have enough kids that fill up these schools anymore. You know, you look at class size and all that kind of thing. You don't have it. But you know, it's funny because I was looking at a building on Scarborough. You know, the old medical building. I think that would be a good location for a little school of sort. You know, I should mention that to the superintendent.
Well, that was bought by the Jamoki people.
And then what happened?
I don't think they ever bothered doing anything with it because the executive director who just left about a year ago from Jamoki, that was one of the buildings he was criticized for purchasing.
Oh. But it's kind of weird because I look down here in Sigourney Street and they have a Jamoki little school there. And I'm saying, oh, I wonder if it's their building or they rent it.
I think that building they still rent. They were supposed to get away from it when West Middle School is redone and everything. But the way it looks now with the sign and everything, I think they're permanently in there. And that's got to be a lot of wasted money that we're.
Yeah, but you know, I heard that you know, this Perry guy went up to the state and he's putting all these ads on. Can you believe it? He has money to put big ads on national TV about, come on out, we can't afford not to build 2 charter schools for the state because how many kids?
That's city money?
State money. It's our money. Yeah.
But I thought it said paid for by parents or citizens.
Oh no, this ad is paid by Perry. You know, his group. The ad that he puts out there about how we need to have these schools, these charter schools built and all that kind of thing. And then he talking about, oh, here's 900 kids
Now,
that's not going to be able to get into.
Who does he work for?
It's kind of funny because I think he's under quite a bit of people in the legislation pocket.
No, but isn't he a principal of a Hartford school?
Not anymore, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so he
I
doesn't
think-
answer to the superintendent then?
No. Actually, the way he was answered to, nobody.
Well, he never did. I
Right.
know. The first time I ever heard him speak, I went to a meeting, and he was just bad mouthing Kishimoto, and I'm thinking, how does this guy keep his job?
Yeah, well,
She should call him in the next morning and fire
exactly,
him.
but she didn't, okay? Because the previous superintendent, they're all in
Well, that's when he was
together.
on CNN, and he was
Bad mouthing everybody, right? But that's what he does, okay? And he take claim to fame to a lot of stuff that is not true, okay? Like how he's graduating 100% of his kids. Well, I ask again, how much is 100% of your kids? Is it 20 or 30?
But see, that's part of the problem when we in Hartford claim that our graduation rates have soared.
Oh,
under Mayor
yeah,
Sierra.
did you heard?
No, they aren't. It's because you've taken all the problem kids
Yeah, but
and forced them out and bring in the cream of the crop. So
Yeah,
of course now you
but-
can say, oh, we got all these kids from Windsor, Avon, Simsbury that have strong
And they're not
families
Harvard
and
kids.
good parents,
Mhm.
and they realize the importance of an education. So they're here and they want to graduate. They do very well in school. So naturally,
But-
that's going to bring your numbers up.
yeah, but they inflate their numbers too
Right.
because the real kids that we're talking about, like the Hartford High, the Buckley, the Weaver, whatever. These kids most of them that we're graduating from these schools are not fully ready for graduation, but they're
No.
passing them on. Okay, so it depends on what number you're using, and you know, it could be 100% of one, or it could be 100% of two people, right? So that's what they use. They like to use the percentage. So for our mayor to say, well, yeah, we had 100 or 70 something percent, he's using Perez number to cover up now, because
Well,
it's not true.
we
I've
also
been in
need to
these
say-
schools and I know.
Our mayor's full of crap.
I know for sure that is not happening.
I don't know how to put it any clearer
okay?
than that, but-
The point is that, yeah, we have a few kids graduating and a few of them going to some good college, but majority of our kids are not going
What
to
do
good
our
colleges.
numbers, let's just say for Buckley, Hartford High, and Weaver, what do the
Children?
graduation numbers look like there?
Children in general, let's see, we may have like, let me see, maybe 100 or less than 100 in another academy, and who knows, there may be less than 100 in another academy. So again, you
So in
have
that
three
big building, we've got a
principals.
couple hundred students?
Yes, we have like 450, 4 something, so you're talking about 1,300 kids.
Okay, per,
Yeah,
Total-
because
total
they're in
grade,
academies,
yeah.
right? But when you look at it, if you have 450 and I have 450, how much of them do you think is qualified to graduate? You know, sometimes you only have 60 of them that really qualify to graduate. They have to go back to summer school, and you know, if you miss so many days from your real class work, 2 weeks of summer school ain't gonna do you. So graduating you is like sending you to the assembly line. All right.
it's gotta be, summer school, you know, summer school is a crutch, but, it's gotta have a strong home environment too, where your parents are making you sit down and
Oh
read.
no, we have
and-
stopped holding parents accountable. It's all about teachers now. We don't talk about parents because it's not politically okay. So
How
say,
can you not?
to say, well, but that's the real thing. You know, have you ever heard a superintendent come in and said, yeah, we need to hold parents accountable to make sure their kids are at school? Oh no, you're not gonna hear that. It's politically incorrect for you to do something like that. Oh, let's blame it on the teachers. That's the quickest way you can do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, let's look at the real deal here. I'm not afraid to say parent
I'd-
needs to take responsibility for their children's
I'd still like to
education.
get the superintendent in here for one of our
Well, maybe we
programs.
should ask her if she would like to come on. Maybe I could ask
Okay.
her when I see her next time.
Another issue, changing the direction a little bit. You said that the police chief is coming to your meeting Thursday night.
Yes.
One of the big issues is, where are we gonna go over the next few months is he has to start stripping out the community policing program, the CSOs.
Well,
to-
he promised
to
not
fill cars
to.
and- He's gonna have
I
to.
was at the budget hearing.
They
and-
had Saturday night, we had, the circus going on downtown. There were a lot of people downtown for different events.
Mhm.
And car 12, which is the car for the downtown center, they couldn't even hire anybody in overtime to come in and work it, so it went unfilled. That means your whole downtown area is vulnerable because you don't have the cops.
Well, what about our
Um,
neighborhood? That's gone too, because you know,
Well, yeah.
our CSO office don't work on weekends,
No.
right?
No.
So we're in danger too. I
Well-
mean, let's face it.
And
With the motorcycle kids gang going around, running around
Well,
the
that's-
city, it's just totally out of
we're,
control.
we're falling into it, and it's not the police chief's fault, it's not the
No,
police
he doesn't
department's
have
fault.
the people to do the job.
They're now probably under 400 officers. First time in years I remember them being under 400. And potentially, by this time next year,
They'd
they
be
could
way-
be very close to 300.
Right?
They fired another officer on Friday. Another one is about to get fired.
Well, if they don't
Plus-
follow the procedures, then they will be fired.
Oh, plus quite a few retirements,
Yes.
which are expected, but nobody ever thought about or planned for. We've got the officer last week. I finally put it on my blog. I know that the chief had a meeting, almost like a summit meeting last week, with many of the black leaders from the city, Reverend Brown and
Yeah.
Mohammed
yeah.
Ansari,
Mhm,
people
mhm.
like that, about police relations with the minority community. And then there's been an incident that's been stewing for a couple weeks. I was asked not to put it out publicly until they were prepared for it, and I guess we're prepared to deal for it now. But we had one of our police officers, a white officer, went to the casino to a whiskey tasting event. Apparently got drunk. This officer, Camille Stakowitz. He got drunk. They called the tribal police to escort him out of the casino because he was being so unruly.
Disrespectful, yeah.
A black officer from the tribal police showed up to escort him out. And this Officer Stakowitz started in yelling the N-word in the casino, and then was quoted as saying, "My family used to own people like you. My grandfather owned slaves."
That didn't call
And he
for.
just kept. So now he's out on what they call EAP, Employee Assistance Program, claiming he has a medical disability with the bottle.
Oh, okay. So
So-
he has a disability. He's a drunk.
I
Is
don't
that what they
care
call
whether,
it?
whether he's a drunk or whatever.
Okay, he's a drunk. He
A
needs some
racist
treatment.
is a racist is a racist. If you need alcohol
To
as
bring
the
out what you-
lubricant
yeah.
to make out what you're really thinking,
Yeah.
it's still deep down in your heart.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got
yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
There's no place for him as a police officer. In the
No,
city
he
of
shouldn't be a
Hartford.
police officer.
There's no community that should
No.
welcome
He
him.
probably has to go to Nevada where there's all white people out there.
Well, supposedly, his lawyer wants to put him. His lawyer's trying to save his job, so they apparently want to put him in rehab. As far as I know, there's no form of rehab for racism. There may be for alcohol and drugs, and maybe he deserves. Maybe he could be a snowplow driver at DPW if you really want to keep the guy. Put him somewhere where he's not dealing with the public and his racist views aren't coming through. But this is another difficult spot that puts the chief in.
Well, the chief is gonna, as I said, the chief is gonna follow a procedure, a policy and procedures. And you say, okay, there's nothing about races and stuff like
But even
that. But
looking-
there probably this we have to go back and look at how we're gonna change that kind of a procedure.
The other part is it's very, very difficult to get rid of a bad cop. We had this officer Feliciano who was a suspect in a murder in Springfield. Because of some things that were done by the Springfield police the night that he was arrested, the case was eventually thrown out.
Oh wow.
Now, people identified him as the murder suspect. They found bloody clothing and shoes in his apartment. But all that was thrown out because
Wow.
of he has, we all have rights, and the police have to follow the rules. Apparently in Springfield they didn't. Hartford didn't know about this. Now you'd think somebody in Springfield would have said, "Hey, not for nothing."
Wouldn't you have that on a record or
No,
someplace?
if it's thrown out in court, it all gets
Oh,
dismissed.
if it's thrown out, okay.
The record's wiped clean.
Uh-huh.
So Hartford
Hartford
didn't
hired
know
him?
that when they hired him. Then I found out about it, put it on my blog, and then the Hartford police became aware of it. And what this officer Feliciano also did, because Springfield refused to hire him because they knew about his murder arrest, they refused to hire him, so he went to the Mass Civil Service Commission, which, even though it had all been wiped off his record, when he went to this Civil Service Commission for a hearing, it put everything back on the record from all the hearings they held. That's how I got it.
And we hired him?
He had already been hired at that point. Then the city wanted to get rid of him, and apparently the union says, "Oh, no.
They're gonna be followed.
It was all legit.
Proper procedures.
He didn't lie on his
Policy and
application.
procedures.
They didn't ask him the right questions during his polygraph. But
okay.
So anyways, then he was working, about a year ago, was working a private job at Walmart on Flatbush Avenue. And the FBI was doing some sort of sting or investigation in different Walmart stores because of interstate trafficking of stolen goods. And they got this officer Feliciano on video stealing TVs out of Walmart.
Wow. An officer?
Yeah,
Whoa.
in uniform,
Whoa.
working an overtime
That is
job.
bad in the police
So-
department. That looks bad in the police department.
Well, it's bad, but even though they got him almost a year ago with the FBI, they just officially terminated him this past Friday.
So we've been paying him all these years for
I don't know if he was on paid or unpaid administrative leave.
Yeah.
But this is the type of thing where, I don't think it's the
Well-
department's fault.
Yeah, but I think what happened is that, as you say, they have to follow policy and procedure because, as you said, if we did something little wrong, he could be suing us for something, right?
Yeah.
So again, you have to, it may take a year, but you have to make sure everything, you have all your paperwork stacked together. So when the time comes, you could say, hey, you gotta go, fellow, okay?
Well, it's like Chief Ravella told me once. He says when he has to terminate an officer, he wants it to be rock solid.
Exactly.
He says, I don't want to pass that officer in the hall a year from now coming into work because the labor board ordered us to bring him back. So we've got some problems out there. I don't think we have a real racist problem like many other departments do. Do we have bad apples? Of course.
Every bad apple is in everywhere, you know?
But,
it's just a matter of how you deal with them when there's an issue
but
like that.
they also, the city has to be prepared once we start firing these people because their salaries are already budgeted. So if we fire them, let's keep a pool together of new officers we can bring in and start right away. Why do we always have to wait for
But we are not, though.
classes?
We're not. So we always are short-handed, and we're always, trying
And
to catch
that's
up.
what the
but we
mayor
never
and the
catch
council
up.
need to look at and
But-
say, why are we reactive? We only hire when the numbers are so low that we can't fill cruisers.
There never been this is not, we have leaders that's not proactive. They just react to everything that
Everything
happens.
is reactive.
You know, what about the motorcycle? I have been hearing something about, there's an ordinance about, motorcycle. I thought we went through this thing already about these motorcycles.
Oh, with the dirt bikes and everything?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there is. First of all, it's a state law, it's illegal.
Right.
Unless they're
So-
registered, they can't be on the roads.
So why are we rewriting something?
I live on a street that is awful on Sunday afternoons with all these dirt bikes and quads and everything else. And they're not quiet. They're loud.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
They
you
shoot
hear
them
them
up.
coming blocks away. It's a very difficult situation because by the time you call the police, the
They're
cop
gone.
gets dispatched, they're probably already in West Hartford or North Hartford or whatever. And it's like many other things. The word is out now. If you shoot somebody in Hartford, head for the highway and hit the gas because they're not going to chase you. It's the same thing with these dirt bikes. These kids all know that they
That they're
can't
not going
be
to be
chased.
chased. Yeah.
So your chances to get, jeez.
Yeah.
We're out of time.
We're wrapping up. Yeah.
Okay, well, another
All right,
interesting week.
so stay tuned, guys. Be active. Don't be reactive. Stand up, listen,
And Thursday at
and we'll
6
see
o'clock
you at Thursday at 6
St.
o'clock.
Augustine's if you want to
St.
talk to the
Augustine
chief.
Church Hall. Okay. You take care now. It's Monday. Beautiful day.
Take care. I gotta go out and get some more sun so I don't look so white here.